What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, your SWAC tour guide, and we're gonna continue this tour around the SWAC as we take a trip to the Red Stick, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, aka the Boot, and we're gonna talk about the Southern University Jaguars and how they're gonna do this fall 2021 season. Southern finished 5-1 in the spring, 4-1 on the field. Got that elusive, electrifying 2-0 victory over Alcorn due to forfeit with Alcorn opting out. But seriously, Southern had a pretty good season. They took a 33-30 loss in Pine Bluff to Pine Bluff. That was their only blemish on the season. Finished really strong, averaged over 37 points per game on offense, allowed 19 on defense. For the second straight year, Southern ran the ball for over 200 yards per game, 211 on the season. They passed for I think for 209, close to that number. 123 yards rushing allowed by the defense, 192 passing. Southern's biggest issue in the spring was turnovers. They finished -4 in turnover ratio. Obviously that's something that can't happen. They were 50% on third down completions, allowed 32% defensively on third down completions, and they had a very solid spring. So I jumped directly into this, man. Let me hit the brakes real quick. As usual, check the socials on the screen down below. Everything that you need is there. If you want to show a little love to the show, you can hit the Cash App, $SWACtalk podcast at anchor.fm/SWACtalk. We have a Southern preview up today. You're here on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, man, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? We're at 290 plus subscribers, almost at 300. I'm totally blessed and thankful, man, for all the support. Y'all, I say that, but y'all don't know how much that really means to see that number going up. So thank you. Hit the subscription button if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell to be alerted to any content that I upload. Coming up this week, Wednesday, we talk Texas Southern football. Thursday, we talk SWAC Smoke, another edition of SWAC Smoke with me and my homie DJ. So check that out. Sunday, UAPB preview. And then the next Wednesday is our week 0 preview when we talk about the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So football is right around the corner. Not much time left. So let's get back into what I was saying about Southern. The team was a very solid team. I mean, obviously, if you watch anybody's videos on this channel, they'll tell you Southern can't run the football, and then they'll tell you that they can't pass the ball because Ladarius Cousin can't throw. He's not a guy who has the best arm, but I've seen the guy play since he first stepped on the field against Prairie View in 2018. His issues are mechanics. He doesn't have the best arm, but he can't throw deep. His issues are mechanics, and if he's not able to, if you force him to stay in the pocket and make decisions in the pocket, he's gonna falter. They're working on that. All reports right now are positive, but nobody's really gonna go in the media and say that the guy's struggling at that. So you're not gonna know until the season starts. But he can throw deep when he has targets that he trusts. He in 2018 he had a good bond with receiver Trey Smith. They went deep a lot on touchdowns. Hunter Register was his guy in 2019. He was able to go deep with him quite often. He didn't have that receiver that he could go to in the spring. Jamal Washington was injured all year. He's a small guy, but he's a guy that they know that can be dependable. Cameron Mackey was also a guy who they didn't have. Obviously, like I said, they lost Register. So they didn't have a guy at receiver that they could go to that they trusted. He had some issues. Lampley was able to come in and play well. He hadn't played since 2018, maybe in 2019, but I think he didn't play much in 19 till he got benched after the Alcorn homecoming game, and then Skelton took over. So obviously that says quarterback is a position that they have multiple options. They also have Glendon Bubba McDaniel, who was the second string guy in 2019, missed the bulk of 2018 with missed the bulk of 2021 spring with a hand injury. Didn't play until the Bayou Classic late in the fourth quarter. So that's a guy. He started a couple games at Southern. Filled in for Skelton in 2019. So he has experience. 3 experienced quarterbacks and a bunch of young guys behind them. One of the guys they brought in, Kobe Dillon, they moved him to running back for this season. So they have pieces at quarterback. Obviously, running back is a room full of guys that can compete. You have Devon Ben, who was the starter the last couple of years. Gerard Sims, who probably, I guess, will be the main guy this year. Maybe they go Ben first and then Sims. Craig Nelson, who came in, he played at Indiana. He's a guy who another guy who can carry the ball. And then, like I said, they have a bunch of other guys who got carries in the spring. So the running back position is solid. Receiver is probably the question mark. Tight ends are there. Tucker and Howard are guys who, as well as Perkins. So they have tight ends who can catch the ball. And backs and tight ends will be a factor in this offense in the passing game. So you can expect to see Southern get the ball to those guys to take advantage of mismatches. The offensive line is solid. That may be an understatement, but all 5 guys made all conference. So that's the issue. That's not an issue. Southern didn't lose much on either side of the ball. The team has over 40 guys who have 4 or 5 years experience. So this is an experienced team. They know what to expect with SWAC football. They know how to play from behind. They know how to play from ahead. And obviously, when Southern gets a lead late in the game, they're going to try to run the ball and run the clock out. Defensively, Jordan Lewis is the guy. Everybody knows his name now. He, in 2018 as a freshman, he had, I think, 10 sacks on the season. 2019, he had a couple injuries. He had 6 sacks on the season and 10 and a half in the spring. So the guy's been a sack machine even as a freshman. So you know what you're getting from him. He's put on some weight, so he's trying to build his body up. I mean, most people like me, I feel like his future in the NFL, if he makes it, would be probably at linebacker. He's just too small to be an NFL defensive end. But, as an outside linebacker type of guy, rush specialist, he can make some plays, but he's aiming to be more of an every down guy at Southern. Defensively, on the other side, Jalen Ivey is a guy who's probably going to benefit a lot from playing opposite of him because Lewis is going to have to demand attention. Davin Cotton is a guy who started slow at defensive tackle this spring, but he got better. And as he got better, the defense got better because the linebackers were able to start making plays. They added Cameron Peterson from McNeese to also bulk up the defensive line. Linebackers, that's probably going to be the biggest question on defense. You have Ray Anderson and Derek Williams, who are going to probably be your starter linebackers. Caleb Carter, who was the second leading tackler on the team, he decided not to return after finishing his eligibility. So that puts a kind of hole in the linebacker spot. Secondary is good, but not spectacular. They're moving Tom Marie Smith from corner to like a rover type of guy. Glenn Brown and Robert Ream are most likely going to be the corners. You have Jacoby Papillon returning at safety. He played in 2 games in the spring due to injury, and Chase Foster, who's an all-conference guy at safety. Not a big guy, but he would knock your block off. So Southern is solid all over the field. Depth is where they're looking at right now. A couple names I didn't speak on receiver, moving back a little bit. They got a couple transfers. One is Travis O'Connor from Prairie View. He's a 6'3" guy. And then they added a 6'5" receiver, Khalif Gossett from University of Louisiana Lafayette. So that's a big guy, a big body guy that Southern didn't have in the spring. So that's a guy who may be able to contribute to the passing game. And that's if and only if Southern's able to be more consistent with their passing game and being better with decision making. So the biggest question mark for Southern on any part of the team is obviously special teams. They lost Cesar Barajas at kicker. He was an all-conference guy, averaged over 42 yards per punt. He was 4-4 on field goals, averaged over 51 yards on kickoffs, did it all. He was going to transfer before the season in the spring, At the end of the fall, he was going to transfer, but he decided to come back, and then he transferred after the spring to Louisiana Tech. So want to definitely keep an eye on him, see what he does there, because he was a very good kicker at Southern. There's 4 guys in the mix for a kicker at Southern right now. So that's going to be an issue that they have to fix. Punt returns were horrendous on the season. They a lot of times, especially early in the season, they had trouble even fielding the ball. So that's something that's going to have to be fixed. Jamal Washington, who's also a receiver, who missed time with injury, missed the spring with injury, he'll be probably the main punt return guy. And kick returns, they've been pretty solid there. So that's pretty much the personnel. Obviously, everybody knows that Coach Odom's left Southern at the end of the spring, and Jason Rollins was brought in from within as an interim coach. All reports right now are positive, but what are people going to say at this point? It's a lot coaching at Southern that you have to traverse off the field as well as on, and that's something that people who are outside of Southern or outside of the SWAC that's not familiar with Southern don't really understand. So he's traversing that stuff, which is probably almost more important than the on the field stuff. He's winning those battles right now. But obviously, the rubber has to meet the road when the season starts, and that's going to determine his fate, whether he remains coach or he doesn't. So the schedule does him no favors, especially late. We're going to take a look now. They open up the season on September 4th against Troy. This is a game I expect for Southern to play well. What I want from that game is for Southern to come out and compete. I'm not really expecting them to beat Troy. I want Southern to play clean football and put themselves in position to win if they play well on both sides of the ball. Southern has not been a team that approaches these non-conference games with that mentality for the last few years. And if you ask some people around the room, that is probably one of the bigger knocks that they had against Odoms, besides the Alcorn thing, which everybody knows about. Southern didn't necessarily play the best out of conference, and for them to have a successful season, they have to play better out of conference. That's been the story for every team in the SWAC, especially this year. And so I just want them to play the game, and whatever happens, it happens. September 11th in the Pete Richardson Classic, they host Miles College. Miles College is going to be a tough team. They're picked to win the South Division of the SIAC, so they're no pushover. These kind of teams, they have talent. They're going to have some guys that drop down from FCS and FBS, so they're going to have talent and they're going to play hard. Southern's going to have to play a solid game. They're going to have to, play a clean game. I think Southern's depth is what'll get them over the hump in this game. I think this may be a game that's a little close when you look at the score early, and I think Southern will find a way to wear them down and win. September 18th is McNeese. Again, every season preview I've done, when I get to these regional FCS matchups, probably with the exception of Valley, because I don't see it right now, but these are games that everybody needs to win. And if they're a game that are winnable, I think they're gonna win because they have to. The reason why I feel that way is not because outside perception, people who not affiliated with the SWAC or whatever, they're gonna feel how they feel. A lot of those people, if SWAC teams win these games, they're gonna move the goalposts and feel like why you didn't beat this team or why you don't play this team. So you can't base your feelings on how people outside of what you do feel. It's just the fact that if you're going to step on the field against somebody, you need to compete and beat them. There's no need to play a team that's on your level and not be competitive and ultimately not win. I know a lot of people like to talk about don't talk about history, don't talk about this and that, but those non-conference games in the 90s and early 2000s, the SWAC was winning those games. So, and they still weren't really going to the playoffs. So that's not the issue. The issue is that you need to win these games when you play them. When you play a McNeese or you play a Northwestern State, you need to win these games because they're in your state. You're recruiting against these teams. you need to prove that you belong. So this is going to be a game that has a lot of storylines that are underlying. Frank Wilson is the coach at McNeese. He was the head coach at Texas San Antonio. Coach Rollins coached under him at Texas San Antonio. Coach Rollins played at McNeese. These two schools are 2 hours or so apart, so there's a lot of overlap. McNeese beat Southern in 2019. Southern had a 14-0 lead, went turnover crazy. McNeese built the lead, and Southern had to come back, and they ultimately lost by 6. So this was a game that Southern had a chance, and I think they have a chance in this one. I think they'll win this game, which sends them into the September 26th game against Mississippi Valley in Jackson. I feel like Jack Valley should have kept this game in Itta Bena. I mean, obviously they're looking at the financials, so that I understand. But I think this should have been a home game for Valley because you don't play Southern very often. You need to get them up there. This is the first time Southern and Valley have played since 2016. First time. This would have been Southern's first trip to Valley since 2015. So I think they should have kept their game up there. But I understand. I think Southern wins this game. A lot of people are high on Valley right now. I'm not as high on Valley as they are, although I do like Valley a lot. I think this game will be close, but I think Southern will wear Valley down because I just don't think Valley has the depth to compete with the level teams in the conference. Now, they'll play hard and they'll fight and claw for the part of the game, but I think Southern will find a way to win this game, which sends them into their bye week on October 2nd. October 9th, they go to Arlington, Texas to take on Texas Southern. Texas Southern, outside of the spring matchup where Southern won in a blowout fashion, which that game was close for about a quarter and a half. The last 2 times before that, Southern won those games by a combined 21 points, including a 7-point victory over a Texas Southern team who would go winless that season in 2019. So Texas Southern matches up with Southern in terms of playing them close. The way the schedule has typically fallen, they've played Texas Southern after a big game. So they have kind of a letdown, but Texas Southern is a competitive program, and Coach McKinney has those guys on the upswing. I think Southern will find a way to win. This is a trap game because the next week there's a very big game that a lot of people in this city of Baton Rouge are circling their schedule on. But I think Southern will figure out the trap and make it to the Pine Bluff game unscathed after Texas Southern. So Pine Bluff, October 16th, homecoming. Everybody in Baton Rouge that follows Southern University football pretty much knows that this is Pine Bluff's homecoming. People have circled that on their schedule. They're really hard up about this game. Pine Bluff came in and did Southern dirty. They took care of business against them. They had a big second quarter against Southern, and Southern came back late but couldn't seal a deal. So this is going to be a very emotional game. The Darius Skelton going back to his hometown of Pine Bluff, which is always a thing. So I expect a very hard-hitting game. I expect a very emotional game. I think ultimately, I think Southern will find a way to win this game. But I would not be surprised if Pine Bluff did win this game. But I think Southern will find a way to win, which sends them into their matchup on October 23rd against Prairie View. The last time Southern and Prairie View played in Baton Rouge for Southern's homecoming, Prairie View beat them. So this is not an unusual thing. I don't know where Prairie View would be at this point in the season offensively. We just don't know where they'll be. We don't know if Juwan Pass, Trezon Connolly, or any other guy is going to be the quarterback. We don't know how the running game is going to be, but we do know Prairie View has a good defense, and that's going to be a factor in this game. Coach Dooley has roots at Southern. He coached at Southern, so he knows this program and the area very well. This is another emotional type of game for Southern. Coach Dooley's team always is emotional. So this is going to be a tough game. I think Southern ultimately will win this game, which puts them into the matchup against Alcorn on October 30th. I think anybody that has any inkling of SWAC football they've heard already that Southern cannot beat Alcorn. Southern hasn't beat Alcorn since 2016. You have to go back to 2011. Before that, um, even years that Southern's won championships, they've lost to Alcorn. Whether Alcorn was good or bad, Alcorn finds a way to beat Southern. Alcorn is a huge thorn in Southern side, no matter what. Alcorn has a nice lead in the season series. So they just know how to figure out Southern, regardless of who the coach is. They just know how to beat Southern. So this is a game that Southern needs to win, but I cannot pick them to beat Alcorn until I see them compete against Alcorn. And they've slowly been getting there. A lot of people think this is a mental thing at this point. So I think they have to overcome that. Maybe they have. Some people feel like, the slate is clean now. The new coach, the slate is clean. So maybe it is, maybe it's not. Me, I'm in show me mode, so I'm going with Alcorn in this game. Although I think Southern has a great chance to win if they play well. Or they turn the ball over, Alcorn's going to beat them again. So that's just the way it goes. I'm going Alcorn, but I can see Southern winning this game, but I'm going to go with Alcorn. November 6th, they host FAMU, continuing that long streak of games against tough opponents. Southern hasn't beaten FAMU in Baton Rouge since 1996, although that stat is a little deceiving because they haven't played, but I think 3 other home games against FAMU since then, 98, 2000, and then 2008. So obviously that hasn't been but 3 games. But Southern has a great chance in this game. They should have beat FAMU in 2019, although they probably should have got blown out by them first because FAMU was up 19-0 in the second quarter. Southern came back, took a 21-19 lead, and then Ryan Stanley led FAMU on a 99-yard touchdown drive to basically win the game. So with him not being there, that may be the window that Southern has to jump through to win this game. But I think Southern has to play better on offense more than anything because, again, turnovers did them in. I think they gave up a safety in this game. They did not play well in the first half against FAMU, but they were able to right that ship. So this is a game that could go either way. I'm going Southern in this game because at some point they have to beat those Snakes. November 13th, they host Jackson State. Deion Sanders brings his troops to Baton Rouge for his first trip to Mumford Stadium, which should be a very interesting game. Depending on how the schedule shapes up, this could be probably the game of the year at this point. Or it could be a game of a team fighting through a huge stretch of games and another team that's on a roll. So right now, Jackson State's lost to Southern 8 times in a row. I know if you see my hat, you think I'm going Southern, but I'm actually going Jackson right now. Just because I feel like at some point that streak got to end. I mean, as a Southern fan, I don't ever want it to end, but as a realistic person, I know that at some point it will. Jackson State, could potentially be a very, very, very good team at this time, or they could be something in between. Southern could be playing very well at this point, or they could be reeling from this stretch of games that they have in November and October. So it's so many different variables, but I'm picking Jackson. But I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Southern does have a chance to win this game. But just for the sake of my predictions, and just to be a little on the other side, I'm gonna pick Jackson. But I obviously going into this game when I'm not on SWACtalk, I'm all Southern all day. But on SWACtalk, I'm objective, and I think Jackson does have a good chance in this game. Southern closes out their season on November 27th in New Orleans against Grambling. This will not be 49-7, but I think Southern will win. Grambling's going to play better. Grambling's going to play hard, and it's probably going to be more similar to previous matchups. Although the Bayou Classic is a game that you could throw the records out because the team with the losing record does win in this matchup. So don't be surprised if Grambling competes. I expect a better Grambling, but I don't think they're going to finish too high in the standings. So this is going to be a game I think Grambling's going to play well, and I think it's going to be a good game as per usual, other than the spring. One caveat I do want to throw in, and this is off the field. I typically try not to talk this kind of stuff, but there's already been, I think they have, I don't know if it's official yet, but they're basically saying that if you are going to any events in New Orleans in the fall, you will have to have proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test. So just a little word to anybody that that's the route that they're going in New Orleans. So if you're planning on going to the Classic, then you need to take the steps that you need to take to ensure yourself being able to be there, because the Classic should draw a good crowd if people are willing to go out. Totally understandable if they're not, but back in New Orleans should be a good atmosphere. So I just wanted to throw that out there, just in case nobody had heard that. So that's Southern record. I can't think of the word. A record of 8-3 in my predictions. I think the best case scenario for this team is 9-2. I don't really see them finishing better than that. I mean, obviously, it's always possible. If I said it was possible, I would say 10-1, but that's really optimistic. I'm going 8-3. That's a little bit conservative. I think worst case scenario is 6-5, because that stretch from Pine Bluff to the end of the season against Grambling is very hard. You're playing 3 for sure contenders in each division, and then 3 teams who could finish anywhere from 2nd to 5th in the West Division. So none of those games are easy. For Southern, the best thing about it is they only have one true road game in conference, and that's Pine Bluff. The other 3 games away from home are neutral sites. So that's a rarity to not have to go to anybody's campus but once in conference. And actually they only have 2 games at somebody's conference, at somebody's school, and that's Troy and Pine Bluff. So Southern has a lot of neutral sites and a lot of home games. So that's favorable for them. If they're gonna have a successful season, then that part plays into their favor. But I feel like, obviously there are gonna be some growing pains with the new coach. So 6-5 record would not be good. I don't know if that would help. I don't know if that would get him out the door, but I feel like 8-3 is the safe pick. There's obviously a lot of toss-up games. The losses that I picked could be wins. Some of the wins I picked could be losses. But I'm going 8-3, and I think they'll be in position to fight for the division. They have to beat Alcorn to win the division. I don't really see Alcorn losing enough games to have Southern lose to them and still make it. So no more losing Alcorn and going to the championship. You have to beat Alcorn to get there. I'm not at that point yet where I can pick them to do it. So 8-3 is my choice. So if let me know how you feel in the comments about that. We'll be back on Wednesday with our Texas Southern preview. Thursday SWACtalk. Thursday SWAC Smoke episode. DJ and C Wells, and then Sunday UAPB. So have a nice schedule coming up. We're getting ready for the season, not long from now. So with that being said, I'm your tour guide. I'm gonna stop the whip. Y'all can hop on out, and we're gonna head to Third Ward, Houston next week. So enjoy yourself, be safe, and have a good rest of your weekend. We're out.